When my dad bought the farm in 1970, there was very little tree cover here. It was in a very exposed farm, so that was the primary reason for planting trees initially. Since then, we've got other objectives like wildlife and shade for livestock and storing carbon, but initially it was shelter that was the main reason for planting trees. Dad started off planting commercial conifer trees like Sitka spruce, and since then we've diversified into more native broadleaves. We've actually planted some commercial broadleaf woodlands as well, so we're trying to get a mix of commercial and native woodlands. So the benefits of planting trees for us are huge, and there's so many of them. There's the shelter, but now I think shade is becoming increasingly important for livestock as things warm up. There's obviously the wildlife benefits and the connecting different habitats on the farm, so we've got more habitat corridors. We're able to make fields, livestock fields, smaller, which I actually like because we practice mob grazing with the cattle, so that helps with that. And it stores carbon, obviously something we really need to do as much as possible. Trees also have a benefit in terms of water management on the farm. This burn here runs all the way through the farm and has flooded Dingwall in the past during extreme rainfall events. So actually having more trees, especially next to the burn, we think is going to hopefully reduce that flood risk. So yeah, I think we have seen an increase in wildlife on the farm, and I do think we're seeing more variety of species, more abundance of species. And we're just down here, there's a spotted flycatcher feeding, that's a pretty rare and declining species, dependent on woodland and scrub habitats. So this is a kind of experimental field in a way. I'm really keen to look at ways to incorporate trees within fields rather than just around fields. So we've tried different things. We've just used conventional wooden fencing. We've used cactus tree guards, and recently we've just planted this tree alley, which is about 8 meters wide, and planted very dense groups of trees that we hope will particularly improve shelter. The wind direction comes from the west through this field, so it's very exposed, but it also obviously enhances wildlife value, habitat connectivity, and it enables the field to be managed better, so smaller fields stock can be rotated through and subdivided, which I think has benefits from a livestock management point of view. So the experimental tree alley behind me it's a mix of native trees, so there are blocks of oak and birch, rowan and gean. We also have sycamore growing with willow to try that. And they're in dense blocks. There's about 300 trees spaced about 1.5 meters apart. And then there are gaps between those blocks where we've planted thorny scrub, things like hawthorn and blackthorn, primarily for wildlife habitat. And then the aim of that is to link with trees we're planting at the top of the field, at the bottom of the field, so this all links together and gives sort of habitat connectivity. So one of the biggest problems planting trees here is deer, roe deer. There's, inevitably there are quite a number of roe deer. So we've used different things. We've used these plastic tree guards, which have lots of advantages, but obviously disadvantages. But we've also used deer fencing. We've used offset electric wires off stock fence, which it seems to have worked quite well. So different ways of keeping deer out of woodlands. Other challenges, it's really important to emphasise planting trees in the right place. We've planted, unfortunately, trees got planted in an area which was quite valuable for breeding waders. We've cut them all down now, so and the waders have come back, luckily, so we just need to consider that. And also management of woodlands that we've planted, that's something we're probably not doing as well as we could do, just maximising the benefits of these establishing woodlands for wildlife, but also for timber and things. But that's time consuming, and time is limited.